We're 2 minutes, Carol Massar, from the closing bell, but we're 24 hours from a big announcement out of the White House.
I know. I don't know how many times you said tariffs today, but we said it a lot. So we are anticipating that certainly from the White House. You know, the devil's in the details. He's supposed to be meeting the president this afternoon to talk with his advisors to work out the specifics. So who knows what we might get at just about 24 hours from now.
I mean, equity traders are trying to figure it out with today's moves. The S&P 500 searching for direction. I think everybody's just waiting to see what happens tomorrow. Why do you guys think he changed the time from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock? Do you think
because markets are closed?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, because then you have time to digest it before there's any massive stock movements, which raises the question, will tomorrow be a tradable bounce? Will it be a clearing event or a springboard? And how do you position for something like that?
Yeah, we were just talking to Mandy Zhu over at SIBO. She seemed to think maybe not. And based on the price action she's seen in the derivatives and the options markets right now, not a lot of people, at least in that space, are positioning around the announcement tomorrow. But we have to also kind of remind ourselves, we have had a major sell-off over the last few weeks. So maybe that was the pricing in of that risk.
Yeah, you do wonder, right? Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
No, you go.
Oh, okay.
Wow, how sweet is that?
I was just saying, S&P, worst quarter since September 2022. So maybe a little bounce to be expected.
Yeah, a lot to talk about tomorrow, including that chicken tax and that cheese tax. But today we talk about the markets. The markets searching for direction and a mixed bag that we get the closing bells here in New York. It takes a while for these numbers to settle, but it looks like the Dow Jones Industrial Average is going to close the day unchanged. Right now it's down about 15 points, but again, those numbers can change just a little bit over the next few seconds or so. The S&P is going to finish in the green, up about 21 points or 0.4%. The Nasdaq Composite up about 150 points or 0.9%. Similar move higher for the Nasdaq 100. The Russell 2000 flat on the day. We'll just call that unchanged, though you did see a little bit more of a bid into transports as well as into S&P 400 mid caps.
All right, to the S&P 500 I go. Not quite an even split. A little bit more to the upside. 298 names actually gaining ground on this April Fool's Day. 204 to the downside, Alex, and one unchanged.
All right, taking a look at the IMAP here, the function that looks at different sectors in the red and the green. It's all tech, guys. At the end of the day, you have consumer discretionary, communication services, all outperforming, up by about 1% as well as tech. The downside, though, guys, healthcare. So maybe kind of that safety trade, also healthcare getting weighed down from that Cantor note from yesterday as well. And financials pretty much flat there on the day, Carol.
All right, let's get to some of the individual gainers. I had to talk about Newsmax. I know, again, a bunch of volatility in the trade. Trading stopped because of some of the moves. But you're looking at another day where it just soared 179% to the upside. That's after gaining 735%. We talked about throughout the day that you're looking at, what, a two-day gain of more than 2,000% at one point. You know, market cap going to, I just need to check, I think it was at $18 billion. So it's kind of interesting. I guess we'll have to wait to see until in terms of earnings when that finally comes out in mid-May to kind of get a feel of the business.
$18 billion?
I know.
Can I just put that in perspective?
Oh, no.
Please.
Warner Brothers.
It's $29 billion. It was 18 earlier in the day.
Let me put that in perspective.
Please.
Warner Brothers Discovery, a much more sprawling media organization, has a market cap of about 26 billion.
I know.
Are you saying it's detached from fundamentals, Romaine?
I'm not saying anything, Tim.
He's just pointing out the facts. He is pointing out the facts of market caps.
Data-driven news organization here.
Bailey Lipschultz's story says it's solidified its status as a meme stock. So
yeah, 2,000% pop in 24 hours, 36 hours. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and it blows away some of the, if you look at something like price to sales, some of the peak metrics from GameStop or AMC. So it's yeah, I had to mention. See, look at all that we talked about. PVH also among the individual gainers today, up about 18%. We broke it down yesterday. If Romaine opens up his closet, if Tim opens up his closet, it's all Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger.
What? No, that is so lowbrow for Romaine. Crazy. Have you not seen what he wears?
Oh, gosh.
I know, he's so dapper. He's so dapper. I think he wakes up looking like that. Don't you think so?
I sleep in
He
this
does.
suit.
he
100% agree
promises he's
with
going
that.
to teach me how to tie a bow tie, but it hasn't happened yet.
Keep waiting. Anyway, the company gave a guidance for 2026 adjusted earnings that beat the average analyst estimate. And then, guys, I had to go to Tesla because this one at one point during the day was the top gainer in both the S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100, finishing the day with a gain of about 3.6%. And this is despite sales falling almost 40% in France last month. We continue to see bad sales numbers, especially when it comes to Europe. I don't know. So there we go. Still down more than 30% year to date. But again, this was an outperformer among the Mag 7 today.
Can I just add an honorable mention on there? CoreWeave. Did you see what that did today?
I did. Oh, I missed that.
42% rally today.
Now
at $52. Remember, it had a pretty middling debut on Friday. Sold at 40, opened at 39, closed at 40. It was down yesterday. And today, for some reason, a 42% pop.
Why? Do you not know?
I don't know. I just bring you the facts.
He knows everything.
I'll let you guys do some research while I do my decliners
what are you
here.
doing, Tim?
I'm looking at shares of Johnson & Johnson. They had their worst day going back to 2018. This after the company's plan to settle thousands of those talc-related lawsuits through bankruptcy was actually rejected in court. Shares fell 7.6%. So this means that the company will have to fight about 60,000 claims in courts across the country. Also, shares of Delta Airlines, and really a lot of airlines, taking a hit today. Delta fell by 2.7%. Jefferies cut Delta to underperform from hold. Uncertainty around consumer and corporate spending. Sheila Kayalu over at Jefferies expects American, Air Canada, Southwest must cut their annual forecasts. And then she says Delta is likely to cut its annual forecast. Once again, shares down by about 2.7%. I'm also watching ADRs of Xiaomi. They fell after the company confirmed that one of its SU7 EVs was involved in an accident on an expressway in China that resulted in 3 deaths. Shares fell 5.8% today. The accident sparked concerns over the safety of Xiaomi's smart driving software, and it could impact the company's competitiveness and growth outlook, particularly in its EV business. Once again, ADR is down by 5.8%.
All right, guys, if you want to go get some safety, you go to the bond market, and we saw that in full display today, particularly on the back end. At one point, you would yields down as much as 10 basis points, but they closed up by about 4 basis points lower, 4. Oh, my God.
I have no idea what she's trying to say.
Alex,
4.16.
3, 2, 1, go.
I did it. There we go. This happens when I talk too fast. All right. Anyway, point is that there's a bid into the bond market, mostly the back end. My question is, though, if we see more inflation kick up, when does the bond market then become less appealing as a safe haven, because then you're factoring in the inflation, but those break-evens are still relatively well behaved?
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting, too. I mean, when you look at this, I mean, this does not scream panic. Yes, some people are flocking to the bond market, some people in options, but as Mandy just said, you're not really seeing a wholesale positioning for, I guess, deep risk, if you will. And you brought up just a little bit a while ago there, Tim, the downgrade that we saw over at Jefferies, and we were speaking with Sheila as well. You know, this is about what the airlines can now do to maybe potentially mitigate a potential drop in passenger traffic. Like, what can they do to bring people into the airports and onto those planes?
Does it have to do with hamburgers?
Nice.
You know you were doing that?
Yes.
That was very slick, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe they could do that. Okay, so one of the most read stories today is from our Bloomberg Business Week team, Brooke Sutherland and Mary Schlangenstein. They're talking about the first class perk on some Delta routes includes Shake Shack burgers. No, not fries yet. They haven't figured out how to do fries. But apparently...
I have thoughts on this.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
Let me just preface this, say I love Shake Shack.
Okay.
Is that a first-class meal?
Yes.
Have you been on an airplane in the U.S. in the past few years?
No hesitation by Alex.
I mean, or would you prefer the really gross couscous with the salmon on top that just was microwaved?
Yeah.
Ouch.
It does beat some of the in-flight options that I have eaten in recent years. I will say that.
Okay, well, you got to fudge it a little bit. Just, tell them you're kosher or halal or something. You get a little bit.
What's your meal of choice, Romaine?
I'll just lie, Tim.
I'm just saying.
I don't know. Honestly, I take what I can get these days on airlines. I just keep my mouth shut because I don't want to get thrown off or something.
We did speak to Mary a little bit about this, and I think it's fair to say, like with the big 3 airlines, American, Delta, and United, when it comes to that first class hard product, right, they're very similar. So if this is a way to differentiate, see what United and American have to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely. I mean, you have to try something to kind of stand out from the crowd, and maybe this gets it there. Another interesting story that I came across this morning, and I was kind of confused by. Did you know people are flocking back to Tumblr?
I thought this.
What?
So two questions. A, I didn't know Tumblr was still going. And 2, I don't know. Apparently it's still going. But apparently a lot of younger people are kind of fed up with a lot of the social media platforms out there. They say they just don't really offer the engagement. And they're finding it back on Tumblr. It's like everything old is new again.
Love it when we talk about young people as if we know what's going on.
Hello, fellow kids.
There's a line in this story by Business Insider that says part of the reason young people are hanging out on old social platforms is that there's nowhere new to go. How about going outside and doing something?
Old
now you sound old. Who's
Carol.
old now,
Come on,
Carol?
man.
Get off my lawn.
All these kids just in the house all day.
But doesn't this also go to the whole point of like Meta was trying to get back to like the OG Facebook where it was just friends and hanging out versus all the other recommended ads and stuff?
Try going somewhere with someone.
Okay.
I don't like talking
Not
about
all of us have yachts that we can just take off
it's
on
true.
into the wild blue yonder there, but you know.
All right. Q, we gotta go.
No, she's saying we can keep talking. We can stay.
All right, that is a wrap. Our cross-platform, radio, TV, YouTube, Bloomberg Originals. We do call it the closing bell. We will see you again, same time, same place tomorrow, guys.